Hello everybody and welcome into the Grindstone Developments Truck Series live tonight from the Paperclip. That's right, it's Martinsville Speedway. And thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, you are watching Austin Green on, PGR eSports. Was getting ready to say Ghost Racing Network. That is one of the other channels that I do some broadcasts for. But hey, nonetheless, listen, last week, first race of the season, Nathan Meyer goes out and gets the job done. This week, he's going to have a little bit more work to do. There was a lot of questions about how chaotic this race was going to be, and we're getting ready to find out who has the answers to all those questions. Let's get right down trackside and get into tonight's starting grid. How about taking the pole here tonight? The man who felt like he had enough speed to show for maybe a win last week, but after an early incident got himself in trouble and just couldn't quite recover all the way. It's Bryce Rayner in the 99. Team Conti Machine. He will start from that number 1 spot here tonight. On his outside, making his first start of the season here tonight, that'll be Andrew Hale in the number 4 machine. Jamison Correa had a podium last week and had a podium to round out last season. He will start from the podium here tonight in the 3rd spot. The outside of row number 2, last week's winner, Nathan Meyer, will start in that 24 truck from 4th. Brian High back in 5th. It'll be Randy Richard to his outside in 6th. You've got Toby Ritters in the number 3 truck back in the inside of row number 7, or excuse me, row number 4 in 7th. Jason Ethery to his outside in 8th. Back in row number 5 on the inside, it'll be Stephen Pless with George Young to his outside in 10th. Apologize. Not sure what is going on with the butchering of some of the names here tonight. Back in 11th, though, it'll be Caleb Forsyth. Brad Thacker will start to his outside in 12th. Tyler Meeks back in 13th. James Harris in the 55 truck starts 14th. William Mann Jr. in 15th. And then you've got Wesley Carter back in 16th. Kevin Kirchart is in 17th. Michael Hill 18th with John Legger back in 19th. And it'll be Wesley Shaw rounding out the field in 20th. Brief look at your race info here tonight. It is the Martinsville 130. That distance will break down to 130 laps around this half-mile racetrack. Now, the big difference between here and Bristol Motor Speedway, no banking here, a very flat track, so speeds aren't all that high, but boy, tempers sure can get hot. 100% fuel, 4 sets of tires, 1 fast spare. That is the usual setup. No change there. As always, open setups as well, with 2 green-white checkers if needed. And you probably noticed, but we are under the bright lights here of Martinsville, so track temp, very cool. 67 degrees should help out with grip at least a little bit. All right, pace car pulls off. First short track of the season. Virtual grandfather clock on the line. Who wants to get it done? Can Bryce Rayner try to take the points lead here tonight? What can Nathan Meyer, last week's winner, do? Let's find out. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Martinsville. Through 1 and 2, everybody clean so far. First time down into turn 3 here tonight. And the laps go by so quick here, and already caution. That was one of the big questions. When would trouble strike first? And the answer is lap 1. And I believe it may have been contact between George Young and Jason Nethery. Now, you don't see damage on either of these race trucks, and that's not all too surprising. You wouldn't really expect to. Most of the cautions that you hear us talk about tonight are going to be just guys kind of spinning out, not really hitting anything. But restarts are going to be one of the most dangerous points in this race, because that's when everybody feels like they've got to be the most aggressive, get all they can. And unfortunately, the consequences, sometimes that results in some of the spins that we see is, there you go, this is coming off at turn number 2 down the backstretch, and as they go down into the corner here, ooh, the 69 way overshoots it, as does the 48. Man, I think we would have had an incident there, maybe regardless. George Young really, really went past his braking zone. In fact, let's see if we can get a chopper view. That was Stephen Pless, the truck that went up the, well, I say banking, but there isn't any, up the turn, I should say. Watch as they get down into the corner here. Stephen Pless just trying to dive it in a little too deep. And, you know, I don't know if he steers up because he realizes that he has Toby Ritters in front of him and he's getting ready to slam into the back of him, or if he just starts wheel hopping, truck maybe starts to get up the track on him. Let's see here from the cockpit view. Take a listen. No, I think that's just the truck starting to try to jump out on him a little bit. You see the steering wheel right here as he's getting into the corner. He's got that thing turned full left. Just misjudges it a little bit in terms of the braking zone, and fortunately, as a result, very, very lucky to keep it out of Toby Ritters. But then obviously the man who got the bad end of the stick is going to be Jason Nethery here. This was George Young, by the way. Watch how deep into the braking zone he was. And we'll play this all the way back from, you know, first when they get through turn 1 and 2. Everybody got through here relatively okay. But then watch this right here. George Young just way too late on the brakes. And, yeah, I think there was going to be contact there regardless. And, ooh, well, I said most people don't hit the wall here, but Nethery certainly did. That was a pretty big shot, too. Definitely going to have some damage on the rear end of his Chevy Silverado after that. So Nethery continues. We get one more look here before we go back live to grab the green here, as the cautions go pretty quick here. One more time. Watch it. We'll slow it down for you here right as they get into the turn. There's Nethery on the outside in the gold, white, and black machine. There's Pless coming up the track, and there's George Young running into the back of him. And around she goes, hard into the outside wall. Leads to your first caution of the night. All right, back up front. Here we go. Pace car is pulled off of turn 4, and back into the Geico restart zone we go. Green flag back in the air at Martinsville. Another great restart for Bryce Rayner. He led everybody through 1 and 2 on the first start, and he is going to do the exact same here on the second. Andrew Hale, though, quick to file second. And everybody else still battling side by side as they work into turn 3. Looks like it's a little bit cleaner through the front and middle portions of the pack this time around. Out back, a little bit of trouble with guys trying to keep pace, but they all keep it at least organized. And caution again, Andrew Hale this time. The man who finds trouble. We just talked about him slotting into second. And now he is the second victim to the short track chaos here tonight. Major damage to the right side of his truck. So Hale will now go from running second to have to go in and try to get whatever damage he's got repaired. And completely going to throw off his rhythm here. He's trying to check to see if the suspension's broken right now. Let's go back, look at it here. Andrew Hale, this is going to be coming off of 4. He had a pretty big lead here off of 2, but it quickly closes up behind him as they come off of 4. Nathan Meyer's got a great big run. Gives the 4 a bump, and then as they get into the braking zone again, just sends him around. I mean, that's kind of one of those deals on Nathan Meyer there where you got to show the guy a little bit of slack. I mean, you know, I don't think that this was anything Nathan was doing out of anger or intention like what we do see sometimes here at Martinsville, but it's just, you know, different braking zones, or the 24 just flat missed his braking zone. Either way, you got to, you know, it's early. You got to be able to give a guy a little bit more breathing room than that. You know, as soon as you get on somebody's bumper down the straightaway, it usually doesn't end too well, and then he absolutely just punts 24 of Andrew Hale. Meyer gets away without any damage, but for Andrew Hale there, I mean, there was just absolutely nothing he could do. He got pretty heavy damage, too. Watch this. He just immediately snaps the truck around and bam. Hard tank slapper to the outside wall. See if we can get one more look at this here before we go back live from the TV static view. And there you saw Hale going around in that view, and by the time it gets to the next one, he's already hit that outside wall, and he's hit it pretty hard, too. So this is the second caution of the night, by the way. And we have yet to complete more than 2 green flag laps. In fact, I don't know if we've technically even completed 1.5. Very lucky right there for the 81. I believe that's Jamison Correa. Sure enough, it is, to not get involved in that. So he stays on the inside, and there goes again Nathan Meyer in the 24. After that significant contact. All right, so we'll go back live, group these guys up, try it again. Here's green flag right back in the air. Bryce Rayner leads the field back through turn 1 and 2. Jamison Correa quickly files into second. Nathan Meyer will file into that final podium spot for now, but they're racing. Whoa, Ritters, he takes a little shot right there. That stacked him up. You wonder, does everybody keep it together this time? Looks like they do for now off of turn 4. Tight quarters back here still. You got a couple guys trying to fight for a little bit of elbow room. One of them looks like might have been the 29 there of William Mann Jr. He is now in kind of the island between a few drivers. Michael Hill in the 27, seeing if he can have himself a solid run here tonight. Right now he's up 2 positions from where he started this race at. As we go back up front, Bryce Rayner continues to lead over his Team Conti teammate, Jamison Correa. And by the way, as trouble, John Legger has crashed and caution right back out. The short track struggles continue. This time, though, it's John Legger, and didn't even notice that there. That's Jason Nethery, who just spun out right there. Andrew Hale's in the pits. More chaos. I don't know if for the 4 this is a different issue or if this is a product of that issue that they just had. I'm not sure, but for Jason Nethery, 34, trying to figure out where he has damage. Looks like he still has some in the right front and in the rear. I wonder if that was still from the first wreck or from what just happened right there. And then Little Caesars machine, the 19 of John Legger. I don't see any damage on his truck, but his spin was what I believe initially brought out the caution. So let's go back and look at it. John Legger is back here running right around the 20th position, a few spots up actually, and just loops it all by himself, getting into the corner. That was the initial, well, I thought that was the initial draw for the caution. Maybe it wasn't, because he does kind of keep it straight. He got on the curb in the process. Andrew Hale, on the other hand, maybe some contact between him and Michael Hale. Excuse me, Michael Hill. I don't know why I said Hale. Anyway, is going to be what actually brings out the caution. Yeah, there you go. And for Michael Hill here, it looks like he's minding his business. The bottom of the racetrack. Well, I don't know. He does wash up a little bit there. Maybe nothing egregious, but again, it's just you're running so close here. Even just that little bit of a wash up can be enough. And definitely some arguments that Andrew Hale's maybe starting to turn back down the racetrack, but Michael Hill definitely off the bottom. And when he tags the 4 truck, the left rear, that automatically sends Andrew Hale around, and Jason Nethery just had nowhere to go. And then you see actually a 52 of Wesley Shaw. He's going to get involved in this too. Didn't even get a chance to talk about him yet. The first wave wanted to bring him up. He clobbers the 4, and then the 4 backs it into Jason Nethery. And so that's how that incident unfolded. Quickly back to green flag racing, though. Up front, Bryce Rayner. Another great start. He's getting pretty good at these with all the practice that we've had so far. The battle for second between Nathan Meyer and Jamison Correa is on. And it is fierce. Nathan Meyer on the inside. That's the preferred lane. But you can see that the 81 of Correa is not just going to let him have it, at least not yet. You got to be careful doing this, though, because that inside line tends to be a train. And if you get too caught up trying to race one guy, and if he gets by, sometimes that's grounds for starting to lose not just one, but quite a few positions. So I think that's a smart decision right there for Jamison Correa to quickly try to jump down in line and get things sorted out. Well, Randy Richard got a cool looking paint scheme on tonight. Roger Richard. Wonder if it's, oh, it is. It's a tribute scheme. All right, so we'll go over more on that for Randy Richard here in just a moment, but caution is out. Is this Andrew Hale again? Can't tell who this one was. Wesley Shaw's, who we're getting data that it was on. All right, and so for Wesley Shaw here, already had some damage from the last incident, and these cautions are going quick, so unfortunately we're going to have to speed up these replays a little bit as well. As they get into the corner, Wesley Shaw, so far so good. Is he just going to get a little too excited on the throttle? No issues there. What about as they get down into turn one? Nethery looking to the inside. No problems there, and similar to what we saw in the last incident for John Legger, this time it's Wesley Shaw who just gets a little sideways, half loops it around, and unfortunately it does indeed draw the caution. All right, so we will now go back under caution here, as getting back to what I just started to look at here, which was the paint scheme for Randy Richard. Roger Richard on the front of the hood, and it says in loving memory. So unfortunately, I'm hoping, but obviously thinking that may be some sort of family-related passing for Randy Richard, which, I mean, obviously I would say hope that's not the case, but usually that's the kind of scheme a driver runs when that is. So we're going to assume that maybe there was a family passing or a family-related passing for Randy Richard. If that is the case, we certainly send our thoughts and prayers out to Randy and his family. And again, a beautiful-looking paint scheme and tribute that Randy is running here tonight to Roger Richard. And actually looks like he's got a little bit more on the rear of that truck. And there you go. Yep, sure enough, that was actually March 9th of last year. Roger Richard passed away. But a very, very good-looking paint scheme. We'll see if Randy can bring that into victory lane here tonight at Martinsville. We'll see if caution lights go off this time. By the way, we still have driver cams that we really haven't even got a chance to go to yet because it's just been pure chaos. I don't think we've ran 5 laps of green flag racing yet. At the rate we're going, I don't know if a green flag stop's even going to be something that we even have to think about, as the lights are going to go off on the pace car again. So this will give us another opportunity here for another restart. Now, nobody's had anything for this 99 truck, at least not yet. Obviously, a long ways to go. I think Jamison Correa and Nathan Meyer are the two favorites to have something for him. By the way, a few of the driver cams that we have here tonight, one of the ones on the move is James Harris. Right now has himself up 7 positions from where he started this race, even with all the chaos. A couple more restarts. The driver out of Texarkana may be right back up at the front. All right, here we go. Pace car pulls off. Bryce Rayner, Jamison Correa back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air at Martinsville. It's a great start for Rayner. This time he catches them all sleeping a little bit. Pure chaos out back. Everybody scatters, looking for any wiggle room to work with off of turn 2. 2x2. Caleb Forsyth on the outside. Another driver trying to make his way up through the field. Remember, 20 trucks started this race here tonight. None have retired yet. But when these tires have been cold, which we've seen quite a few times here tonight on these restarts, drivers have struggled getting into turn 1. It looks like this time everybody was able to do a little bit better, so we will see a little bit of single file action now. Forsyth, the only driver on the outside. The perks of staying on the outside, though, obviously, is that if the inside gets stacked up at all, you're going to make up quite a bit of ground. That's why you'll see a lot of drivers choose to go to that outside if they feel like they're not really making up any ground on the inside. Well, Tyler Meeks back here on the 7 machine, just behind Toby Ritters. He's got Brad Thacker in the 56 behind him, who also had good speed last week. Meanwhile, back up front, Team Conti versus Team Watson. 99 of Bryce Rayner still holds on to the lead, but Nathan Meyer, he wants it, and he's going to try to get it here. Now, one of the big things we talk about at Martinsville as well is the chrome horn. When and how do you use it? A short track where it's so difficult to pass, a lot of times you'll see drivers give a little bit of that front bumper to the truck in front of them if they can't get around, but they feel like they're faster. And obviously, if you're Bryce Rayner, you're sitting there looking in your mirror, watching and waiting for that. But if you're Nathan Meyer, I think it is, again, still early. You're in a good spot, so maybe see if you can find a way to work around him. But if this was the end of the race, do not at all be surprised if that 24 tries to get into the back, move that 99 truck up the racetrack. And if he can do that, maybe make a pass for the win later. But again, still a lot of things to play out. In terms of the fuel window, I would think the drivers would have to pit probably at least once. I don't know if they can quite make it 100 laps. Obviously, we'll have to keep tabs on it, wait and see. But 69 of Stephen Pless, by the way, who was part of that first caution of the night, has since recovered, picked up a spot as caution back out. This time it's for Wesley Carter. the 22 machine, who spun around on the apron in turn 1 and 2. And so for Wesley here, he'll try to get it steered back in the right direction. Looks like he does, and stays on the lead lap. So that's the good news there for Wesley. Well, I said he stayed on the lead lap here. See if the pace car lets him go back around. Nonetheless, as he awaits to see the decision there, here we go. Through 1 and 2. It's all clean there. Excuse me, 3 and 4. And then as they get down into 1 and 2, does he get some help? Does he just lose it by himself again? And I say again, I'm referring to the fact that we've seen 3 separate drivers with that same exact issue. And it's just when you try to carry a lot of speed into a corner and then you get on the brakes really, really hard and turn the car, it just doesn't work. The rear balance gets all out of whack. You start wheel hopping. And whenever that's the case, that's where we see these issues happen. So watch. What you're going to see here is Wesley try to get in a little bit too deep. And as he gets on the brakes, the wheels are just going to start hopping on him. The rear wheels, and it just slips out immediately. Just nothing he can do. And in fact, I'll put away the driver card right here, and you can actually see the brief bump in the RPMs indicating that little bit of wheel hop. Watch it right here. Watch the RPM gauge. Watch it bounce. It'll go down, then watch it bounce a little bit. Right there and right there. And right there as well. So that's where that truck's wheel hopping. Rear tires are coming up off the ground. And as they do that, obviously no grip, just immediately spins the car out. And unfortunately for Wesley Carter, that's going to cost him whatever track position he had. Luckily, though, doesn't get hit, so no contact to note right there. Man, Andrew Hale, who has been in a few incidents tonight. Oh, man, well, I spoke too soon. I said no contact there as I thought Hale was the only truck that would have hit him, but I was incorrect. Jason Ethery misses. Unfortunately, Michael Hill right in the line of fire. Runs into the left rear of Carter. You wonder if that'll potentially cause some damage. Definitely a lot of tough breaks early. Nonetheless, back up front, Bryce Rayner sees the green flag back in the air. Less than 100 laps to go now at Martinsville. And on the outside, the 24, Nathan Meyer, trying to get clear. The 81 of Correa seems like he may have the next fastest truck in line after the 99 of Rayner here, and he wants to see what he can do with it. Now, the other thing with open setups is that everybody designs him to be good on different runs. Whoa, one into the wall out back. That was Stephen Pless in the 69. Everybody's got to scatter to try to avoid him here. It looks like they did, but it caused a stack up for a few drivers, including Tyler Meeks, along with the 29 of William Mann Jr. Cool looking paint scheme for William Mann Jr. He's got the Sun Drop logo on the front. How about Kevin Kirchar in the 91 trying to make his way through the field? He's picked up 7 spots from where he started this race at. Brad Thacker again just in front of him. Keeping tabs on that leader battle, though. The 99 of Rayner continues to hold it for the moment. As trying to now see if he can create a little gap. Now the 24, Nathan Meyer's going to spin. And more contact. Thacker's going to go into the inside wall. We've got Kevin Kirchar in it. Andrew Hale. They are still piling him up back here. I think that was the 19 of John Legger who got involved at the end. So now officially your 6th caution of the night in just 37 laps of racing. And this time it all starts with trouble from one of your leaders. And I know what this one was just from looking at it in live time. He just got too aggressive on the throttle. Nothing else to it. He's coming off the corner here. He's trying to catch that 99, really pushing it. And just gets on the throttle way, way too early. I mean, this wasn't necessarily an indication that he was going to spin. But right here, he is on the throttle way too early. That truck nowhere near turned enough to make it out of the corner. Getting in the throttle right there. I mean, look how much lower Rayner is. And usually at this point is when you'd kind of wait and try to see if you could get the truck to get back down to the curb. And when you're going to accelerate, you kind of tend to wait for the truck to be dead straight off the corner. But you can see he's hitting the gas as the wheels still turn to the left. And back tires just start to spin. And the truck just immediately goes around on him. Maybe a little contact there. You heard it. Didn't quite see it there. Does the 81 of James Correa make it through? He tries. The 53 Randy Richard, nowhere to go. Runs into the back of Correa, but 24 doesn't actually get hit by either of those two. And then Nathan Meyer, a little bit of contact to the left front with the inside wall, but nothing too significant. So he's okay. But then we kind of had this secondary trouble that all kicked off here. And this was the really, I guess the best way to put it was interesting one. We got a couple quick looks at this from Andrew Hale. This was after the wreck happens there. come around the front stretch, see the 24 spun out. There's the caution, and then this just turns into everybody running into everybody right here as the 56. And there's the 4 getting turned to the outside wall. Gets hit a couple more times. Just could not really seem to catch a break, anybody in that circumstance. And there's another view of it. Watch the 3 of Toby Ritters. He starts stacking up. He's going to get, well, actually, it's Brad Thacker who gets hit by Kevin Kirchar, sends him into Ritters. And then the 29, William Mann Jr., Andrew Hale, Stephen Pless, John Legger, all piling into each other to make that one worse than what it initially was. All right, so 40 laps in the books. Not many of them have been under green flag conditions, but we still have time to try to get these guys in a rhythm here. See what a long run can do. That's one of the questions I still have is if we get a long run, who has the long run set up? I think a lot of drivers came in with the mentality of what it is so far. A lot of cautions and trying to make sure that you have short run speed. So far, it's been working out well for Bryce Rayner's green flag back in the air now. The 81 quickly slots in line second as, whoa, trouble out back, 56. Brad Thacker's going to go around right as Jameson Correa blinked out. Caution right back out. As Thacker's going to go back into the outside wall. So Thacker going to try to limp this thing around. And, oh, no! Bryce Rayner. Oh, man, what happened? Caution was out. What happened to Bryce Rayner? Oh, no. The 99, your leader. Oh, I see what happens. So the 81, oh, man, this is horrible luck. It's just the way the night has gone. First off, let's look at this incident for, we'll go back here. Here's how we'll do this. So first off, we're going to go back and see if we can look at the incident that actually brought out the caution, which involved Brad Thacker. That's a huge hit right there. By the way, after the caution was already out. But, all right, so first let's show you what actually draws the caution. And that's what's going to be the thing that initially, again, gets these guys under yellow. That's Brad Thacker coming off turn 2. On the outside, just, again, outside, not as much grip. Trying to get in the throttle. Gets a little too greedy with it. And that truck just immediately snaps around on him here. It did not take much. And as soon as it starts to go, I mean, you see the rest of the field in his wake, and they're all going to try to find somewhere to go here. The 56, they somehow just about all miss him. I think Andrew Hale may have clipped him, but he hits the inside wall pretty hard, and then does the same to the outside wall. But then this second incident that's going to involve Bryce Rayner, and this is about as bad a luck as you can have. Remember I said Jameson Correa blinked out, and he blinks out at a pretty awkward spot right here. In fact, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So there's Jameson Correa. Watch, he's going to disappear here. Well, that's not the view we wanted. I really do want to show you this. Or was it Bryce Rayner that blinks out? No, it might have been Bryce Rayner that blinks out. And by the time he blinks back in, the 81's there. It's nothing that either driver's doing wrong. It's just an unfortunate issue for Bryce Rayner. I thought it was Correa who had the issue, but it was Rayner who blinks out. The 81's got no idea where he is, and then watch. Just pops right back in, right on the front nose of Jameson Correa, sends him around. And then it just kind of adds insult to injury here as John Legger just pile drives him in the left side here. Legger was pretty far behind this, but I guess just couldn't get it quite wound up in time. Just drives right into the left front of Bryce Rayner. So another caution that is now all of a sudden taking the most dominant truck out of the front of the field, and now that gives Jameson Correa the lead for this green flag, and he may have the opportunity now to see what his truck can do out in front of clean air. Off of turn 2, caution back out. Oh man, more contact, huge hits. Stephen Pless, the 48 of George Young. And they're all going to check up. Well, if you were headed out to the fair, you probably know they have bumper cars. That's about what it's been looking like so far here tonight. These guys just cannot seem to figure it out. A lot of these wrecks have been towards the back. Not all of them, though. Let's see what gets this one sparked here. Looked like Stephen Pless was one of the first drivers to go around. Here we go, going into turn 1. On the inside, single file, the 53, Randy Richard, gets turned around first. And as they come off the corner, so the caution was coming out for Randy Richard anyway. But then as they're coming around the corner here, see Tyler Meeks going to tag the 69 of Stephen Pless, who had actually ran into the back of Brian High first. And just sends him hard into the outside. Well, he gets tagged by George Young, who goes down the track, collects Forsyth, and the 22 of Wesley Carter. everybody else able to figure it out and get around here. For Randy Richard, this is a tough break. As again, he just gets some contact out back here from, I think it's Brian High. Yep, right there. Actually, that was a little bit of netcode contact. They never touched. iRacing interpolating it as that they did touch, but they didn't. Watch right here. Not quite contact, but it certainly sends the 53 around as if there was. Brian High sneaks around it after that point, and then Randy Richard here is going to go up into the outside wall. And does he get hit here? No, he doesn't. All right, so besides a little damage on the rear, I think Randy Richard's okay. It's going to be more so Stephen Plessy gets the worst of this one here. Watch it from his point of view here. So he sees it, does a good job missing Randy Richard, but then immediately just gets clobbered into the outside wall, and then bam, George Young. Nowhere to go. All right, so we're going to try this again now. By the way, since we just haven't had the chance to under green, I still want to make sure that we acknowledge the guys that are carrying onboard views for us here tonight. Toby Ritters, as always, likes to carry an onboard shot for us, and I was excited about these here tonight because at Martinsville there's so much going on with the brake and the throttle that it's always interesting to watch the cockpit view, kind of see what are going through drivers' minds and how stressed they look. But for Toby Ritters right now, coming out of the pits, he's in 17th, so still a lot of work to do for the driver out of Shady Cove. And then going to our last driver cam here tonight, one of the college drivers, and that is Wesley Shaw, who right now finds himself back up in the 5th spot after some trouble earlier going. So we'll see what Wesley can do now. But again, currently sitting in that 6th spot. He's up 14 positions from where he started this race at. Green flag back in the air. It's another good restart for the 81 of Jamison Correa. Leads them all down into turn 1. See if these guys can get through the corner this time. So far, so good up front. Out back, 2x2. Looks like everybody holds it together through the first set of corners as they get down into turn 3. It's just, it's just really a mess back here. So right about where Michael Hill is running in 6th, all the way back to about the 20th position. Nathan Meyer, though, going to take advantage quickly here, try to get out in front of and away from that chaos. A couple trucks chasing, one slow on the apron. That's Stephen Pless. He's going to take it to the pits. Whoa, Andrew Hale up into Wesley Shaw. He'll go around. Caution coming right back out. And Andrew Hale loops it around. I believe this is his 3rd incident that he's been involved in here tonight. And the first 2, not really of his causing. We'll see what happened here with this one. But with 53 laps complete, now under 80 laps to go, I would almost say for certain that about this point, the green flag stops are not going to be in the question here tonight. There's just no way. With the way things have been going here tonight, I think it's going to be more so a battle of pure track position. I don't even want tires at this point if I'm out there with these guys. I would be wanting track position and nothing else with the way it's been going. But here we go, getting down into the corner. Again, this is going to be turn 3. Back this all the way up, though, as they come off of turn 2. And watch it from the chopper view. Wesley Shaw gets a little bit tied up on the exit. I think he actually maybe gets into the outside wall here. Yeah, he does. Some slight contact, jerks it off the wall, no problem there. And as they get in the corner now, they're going to try to go 3 wide. Stephen Pless is already on the inside, so briefly 4 wide, but just Andrew Hale trying to hold that truck down on the inside. He can't seem to quite do it. And as soon as he hits that curb, it's just all the momentum swings back the other way here. And the truck goes straight up the track. There's not much he can do at this point. So they're just a little too deep of an entry for how shallow of an arc he had to take into the corner. And as soon as that happens right here, there's just nothing Wesley Shaw and company can do. That contact sends the 4 around, although Shaw and Jason Nethery, the other 2 who got contact, were able to keep their trucks pointed in the right direction. So this adds a bit more damage for Andrew Hale, but besides that, I think everybody's okay, and everybody's going to walk away from this one relatively okay. All right, so we go back live here again. There's Andrew Hale in the back of the pack. He'll have some work to do. By the way, Bryce Rayner has not been able to make up much. In fact, he fell a lap down. That's part of the problem here for Rayner, is that he fell a lap down, and he needs to get that lap back. I think if he does, he still has a chance. But he really needs to get that lap back, and he needs to get it back here pretty soon. So we'll see how that works out for Bryce Rayner. We'll see if lights on the pace car go off this time. By the way, if you're looking for more iRacing action, PGR eSports is going to be going live. Actually, I think another one of our broadcasters is currently live right now. And then also after this event wraps up, Tuesday Night Thunder for Ron Moore's Money Racing. We'll be going live at, I'm not sure what track those guys are at tonight, but it will be one of the super speedways, so make sure that you do go check that out. And if you're new here, make sure that you do give us a follow. By the way, I hope everybody is having a good Tuesday night. Haven't got a chance to acknowledge too many people in the chat, but it looks like Lorraine and Sebastian typing a little bit. It says go 19, says Lorraine. All right, here we go. Back into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. 9 cautions so far tonight. How many more will we get? As again, Jamison Correa has been the fastest man since Rayner and Meyer fell towards the back due to incidents. And now it's all about, can he hold on to that spot the rest of the way? Now, I think his biggest worry here might actually be the 55 of James Harris, who's kind of came out of nowhere. We saw him up 7 positions earlier. He's picked up 5 more even since then. And so Harris now has himself up to that 2nd position. But you know he's going to be looking for more here. Still early. And it looks like right now for James Harris running a very, very conservative line to the corners. No arc, more so just trying to hug the bottom the best he can. Jamison Correa, you see running a little bit more aggressive. We'll have to see if these guys can get a long run. Who gets the better tire wear? And who has the better long run truck? Correa right now on a heater. The last couple races, his caution is back out again. You're almost just kind of expecting it at this point after you get a couple laps. And this is making it just so incredibly difficult for any of these guys in the back to make up any sort of track position. See if we can figure out what brings out this one. Is going to get down to the corner up front. Don't see any issues there. Is there an issue a little bit further up? Maybe the 7 of Tyler Meeks. That's about my only guess here. Let's go back and see if that is true. Tyler Meeks in the 7 here. Does he have some sort of issue? He gets down to 3. Oh, he does. I'll tell you what, that's a heck of a save by Meeks. And realistically, that should not have brought out the caution. But iRacing detected a truck more than 90 degrees sideways potentially. And, I mean, wow, he was all of just about 90 degrees sideways too. I'll tell you what. It's unfortunate that it's a caution, but that is a heck of a save from Tyler Meeks. Look at this thing. And by the way, it's just more of the same. I mean, we've already seen this incident a few times. Drivers just trying to get a little too much into the corner. And as soon as you turn the wheel, if you're too aggressive on the brakes, that's what's going to happen. Rear wheels start hopping, and the truck immediately starts to slide and go around. And for Tyler Meeks there, that thing is drifting through turn 3, but he's able to straighten it back out by the time we get to turn 4. Doesn't have any contact with anybody. Continues moving in the right direction. All right. So now 63 of 130 laps complete. So we are just about at the halfway point in this 130 lap, 65-mile event here at Martinsville Speedway. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Grindstone Developments Truck Series live from Martinsville Speedway. The 81, Jamison Correa is your leader. Nathan Meyer now back up to 2nd. Brian High 3rd. You got William Mann Jr. 4th. Caleb Forsyth in 5th. Brad Thacker 6th. Kevin Kirchard 7th. Michael Hill 8th. Jason Ether 9th. And Wesley Shaw rounding out the top 10. Bastion Seacrest says truck drifting. Yeah, that's what it looked like. And so far, we've seen a few drifts here tonight, but that was one of the few that actually ended up in the form of a save. By the way, it looks like James Harris did decide to pit, so that's going to put him towards the back here. He'll have some work to do, but I got to think for James Harris and anybody on a similar strategy, that's it. Do not pit anymore, not at the rate we're going here. Fresh tires mean something when you can actually run on them, but when you're running these 2 5-lap sprints, it just doesn't really mean much. Green flag now back in the air, 65 of 130 complete, so we are officially halfway here at Martinsville. Can the field all work through 1 and 2 cleanly this time? 3 wide, Wesley Shaw on the top, trying to get the hammer down. Looks like he'll be able to find a spot. Oh man, they almost went 3 wide right there into the corner. It's Randy Richard on the move. He's trying to get some of his track position back that he lost after getting turned earlier. Bryce Rayner back there with Randy Richard, and Rayner, he did finally get back on the lead lap, so the 99 knows that he's got a fast truck, but he also knows that he's going to have to try to keep it clean here if he wants to be able to use it towards the end of this race. So keep an eye on Rayner. It's a spinner. I hear one sliding, and yep, sure enough, one into the outside wall. No caution yet. That's William Mann Jr. Did he get a little help here? This looks like a pretty hard shot. As they're going to get down in the corner, I got to assume he had some help there because he was just way, way too deep into the braking zone that time. I'm trying to figure out exactly who that was that gave him the assistance. 55 of James Harris here. Early on the brakes, William Mann, maybe Harris didn't give him a shove here. This was just really weird that William Mann would have missed it by this much. Maybe just late. That's a tough deal. Either way, again, a hard hit right there for the 29 of William Mann Jr. He takes it to the pits. Back up front, Nathan Meyer has now taken the lead away from Jamison Correa. So first time in the lead here tonight for last week's winner, the 24 of Nathan Meyer. And just as he grabs it, caution flies yet again. This time it's Michael Hill, driver out of Gulfport, Mississippi. One of the United States Postal Service Ford F-150, and he does have a bit of damage there in the left front of that truck. I was trying to figure out if he had it anywhere else. It doesn't look like it. If he does, it's at least not obvious. Let's go back and see where it goes wrong. Oh, did he get some help here from Randy Richard? Or does he just lose it? Nope, just loses it. Similar deal to what we have seen all night. We just continue to mention it. Gets a little too hot into the corner, and the rear of the race truck just not secure. And as soon as he starts to turn the wheel in, it just immediately starts to go around on him. Watch again. And didn't mean to speed it up there, so we'll slow it back down for you here. But, I mean, there's nothing that Randy Richard is doing here. He's just right in line. Randy Richard doesn't get into the back of him. Even I know it looks like from that view, but you can see right there, clearly no contact. Unless somehow there was some sort of little net code. I did see that truck take a little bit of a weird jump here. Watch the weird jump right there. But I think that's just the truck hopping around. The back end of the truck, I should say, hopping around. Spins it out. Now, I'm not sure the damage he had on the left side he must have already had, because you can see there he didn't have any contact in the wreck. That's the good news. As a 99er Bryce Rayner in the pits. And I wonder what happened here for Rayner. Still sitting in the pits, maybe topping off on fuel, getting a little bit of tire. We're getting tires as well, trying to get some damage fixed potentially. It's the only assumption that I could have right there for the 99 of Rayner. Either way, he makes his way back out on the racetrack. Up front, Nathan Meyer now leading for the first time here tonight. Jamison Correa back to second. You've got Brian High in third, with Brad Thacker fourth, Caleb Forsyth in fifth, Kevin Kirchar sixth, Jason Ethery in seventh, with George Young in eighth, James Harris in ninth, and Randy Richard currently rounding out your top 10. All right, so it's 73 of 130 laps complete, so we are less than 60 to go now here at Martinsville. In fact, in just about 7 laps time, we'll be approaching 50 laps to go. And these guys will get doubled up here. By the way, 11 cautions in 73 laps. So again, short tracks showing you why they're so difficult. Guys are just racing so close. Contact is almost imminent, regardless of, you know, how clean you try to be. It's just kind of been that way tonight. Good news is next week we're going to head back to a track bigger than half a mile. In fact, it'll be a super speedway, which these guys seem to be really good at. And that'll be Talladega. Back on tonight, though. Green flag back in the air. Whoa, the 13 Brian High gets into the 81 of Jamison Correa. Lucky that nobody got sent around up front in that one. Further back, more chaos here. The 52 of Wesley Shaw going to get split 3 wide down the backstretch. Rayner on the inside. Rayner really wants that spot. Gets into Wesley Shaw. Looks like they're going to organize it back out, though, and they now start to single file a little bit up front. Michael Hill tried to see if he could sneak to the inside right there of Toby Ritters. Nothing doing, though. Ritters played good defense. Caution back out now. This is for another incident. This one, I'm not so sure. Brought out this caution here. Ooh, Stephen Pless in the 69. I think that may be your answer, based off the fact that we just saw him a little bit slow. This is down in turn 1 and 2. Plus on the outside, does he just get in too deep? Yeah, he does. Just a little too deep. Yep, that's exactly what it was. I was trying to look at the data here to see if anybody else got involved, but now it's just a 69. And I mean, obviously you can see it on screen. There's nobody around him, just on the outside trying to get the truck to turn. It snaps around on him, and a little bit of contact there. back the truck to the outside safer barrier. Does get it looped around and pointed and going in the right direction, but obviously caution had already been brought out at that point, so now 12 cautions here on the night. You see the 29 of William Mann Jr., though. Good news for him. He will get a lap back right here. So we will see if lights go off on the pace car this next time around, which would signal 1 to go, before we get the green flag again. And, you know, you figure once we get to lap 100, I mean, if you think it's chaotic now, it's going to be even worse, because when it gets to about 30 laps to go, that's when everybody's mentality shifts from, you know, we still have time to this race is almost over, especially at a track this short where the laps go by at 15, 16 seconds pop. So we'll have to see if these guys can find a way to straighten it up. But, by the way, mentioning schedule, again, Talladega Superspeedway next week, then it's back to a short track. Bristol Motor Speedway seems to be a little bit easier of a short track to run. It's a very exciting one to watch. So we'll see if things are a little bit better at Bristol. And again, that'll be in 2 weeks, and it's off to Rockingham and Dover. So you get the trend here. A lot of short tracks in the schedule, so these guys are going to have to, whether they like them or not, figure it out. It's a green flag now back in the air. The pack under full pace by the time they get down to turn number 1. 56 of Brad Thacker on the inside. This is the highest position he's been up to, as you see the speeds there on the right. These guys on fresh tires top out about 120 down the straights, but then speeds well below highway pace down in the corners where they are under 70 miles an hour. And again, that's part of the reason you see these guys all so close together, because you just don't have time to get up to speed and really try to create any gaps. As caution back out. This time it's going to be, looks like for the, is that James Harris? George Young? Was that James Harris that we saw? Who it was. You wonder if Harris had some contact in this. Certainly going to have to hope not right here. But it's looking like there may have been. That's the only data that shows anything that could have brought out a caution worthy. And so here you go, down in the corner, Randy Richard actually gets in a little bit too deep, gets into the 48 of George Young. That sends Young up the track, gets him into the 55, and oh man. And for Harris, who was just trying to work his way back up to the field and was doing a good job at it, innocent bystander in that one. And I think Harris is not going to be too happy with Randy Richard when he sees the replay. But for Richard here, just a little bit too hot into the corner. Again, gets into the rear of Randy Richard, or excuse me, gets into the rear of George Young. Sends the rear end of Young up the racetrack, gets into the 55. They're both going to go for a slide. 55, James Harrison to the wall. Oh, George Young right there at the end. Got punted by John Legger, who had nowhere to go. Watch it from Legger's point of view right here. Sees it, but at that point, just too late to stop. So now your 13th caution of the night. 82 of 130 laps complete. Again, apologies for these guys. Again, this is not what these guys are capable of. I mean, we saw last week the race went basically green the entire way. In fact, I think it may have went green the entire way after the first lap caution that was brought out for Bryce Rayner. So it's very doable. It's just, it's something with these short tracks in iRacing. I've seen it so many times throughout so many different broadcasts of these kind of tracks. Doesn't matter how good, how talented the guys are. It's just such a different mentality when you come to a track like Martinsville. The aggression level is so much higher. The tempers are so much higher. It's easier to get frustrated, harder to get into a rhythm. And you don't see things get spaced out nearly as much as they would at other tracks either. And all that, just a volatile concoction leads to some of this chaos we've seen so far here tonight. So appreciate everybody sticking around anyway. Still always fun to watch the Grindstone Developments drivers go at it regardless. I'm really looking forward to next week when these guys hit the high banks of Talladega Super Speedway. So the 24 of Nathan Meyer on the inside, the 81 of James Sinclair on the outside. We've got Brad Thacker, Kevin Kirchar, row 2. Along with the 43, the 13, Brian High, and the 776, Caleb Forsyth, back in row number 3. All right, starting to slowly close in on the end of this one. 46 laps to go as they cross the line this time. Back into the restart zone. Green flag in the air. And it's another great restart for the inside. Nathan Meyer gets away. Thacker's going to follow. Kevin Kirchar is going to loop it around now. Kevin Kirchar on the 91. goes around, and they're going to stack up behind him. Bryce Rayner, he went for a half slide. I think he gathered it back up. Fourteenth caution of the night here at Martinsville. And let's go back and look at it here. And watch, well, it's not going to start with the 99. In fact, it all starts up with the 91 of Kevin Kirchar, who I think was just trying to get a little bit too much right here. As on the inside he goes, and just the back end. It wasn't quite as unstable as some of the other trucks, meaning that he didn't push the envelope too far by much, but he still pushed that envelope enough to get that truck out of shape, trying to hold it on the inside. He starts to spin here, and then here comes the rest of the field. Brian High tags him left front. That straightens him out. You saw Bryce Rayner in the back here. He got a little sideways. You wonder if maybe he had some help in the process. He did. That big stack up. Richard Ritters, they get into each other, and then James Harris in the back of Bryce Rayner as they all try to check up to avoid that one. Give you a couple more angles of this here before we go back live. This is kind of what it looked like further back, as there's the initial spin, and for Rayner, there's that secondary spin. Maybe one more view of this here from our TV static cam. All right, so as we go back live now, we'll set up for another restart. This one will be under 40 laps to go. So if you're just tuning in, again, we appreciate you being here. Next caution, we will be going to our commercial break. Normally, if it's green, we may be able to get in one or two. We always try to get into at least one, but that will most likely here tonight at least be the only one to note of. So just a little heads up for what to expect during the next caution break. By the way, last week, again, I mentioned a few times already, first race of the season, obviously Nathan Meyer got the win there. But in terms of how points stacked up after that, we don't know. Points have not been updated since then. So it's still going to be interesting to see, but obviously you got to assume that Meyer is the points leader. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out. But lights are off on the pace car. Similar front four, with the order shaking up maybe just a little bit here, as you've got the 24, and Nathan Meyer still your leader, but Brad Thacker now on the outside of row one. He's got that truck cleaned up after being involved in a few incidents earlier. So he took his one and only fast repair, as here we go. Green flag is back in the air. 41 laps to go here at Martinsville. It's another great restart for Nathan Meyer in the 24. Brad Thacker just behind him, quickly files into second. And oh man, almost 3 wide right there. Ritters and Randy Richard have to get sorted out. They do just that. Further back, another spin. Kevin Kirchar is going to go around, and this time he gets hit hard. I know this is going to draw the caution. Oh, well, maybe not. Wow. Let's see that. Kevin Kirchar maybe damaged, but somehow this does not draw the caution. Of all the things that did bring out the caution here tonight, you certainly thought this would have been one of them. So going down to the corner here, does Kirchar get a little help? Kirchar trying to maybe sneak behind the 99 of Rayner. And James Harris just gets right into the back of him. Sends that 91 sideways. And back up the track he goes. So starts to come back down. Wesley Shaw, Jason Nethery, Andrew Hale with nowhere to go. Sustaining some significant damage through that one. So Nathan Meyer leads and has already created over a second gap on second place Brad Thacker. Battle for second, though, a little bit more heated now. Caleb Forstead trying to catch. Brian High chasing, as well as Tyler Meeks. Randy Richard has caution now back out. This time it's for George Young in the 48. Another caution. 15th one of the night. So for George Young, he's in 16th, now down 6 spots from where he started this race at. He has also had a bit of a rough night. A lot of drivers have had a rough night. I mean, this has really kind of turned into survival of the fittest and a battle of attrition. If your truck's clean and you're up front, you're going to have a shot at it the way things are going. But for George Young here, similar issue. This is nothing new for what we've seen here tonight. Just as that truck tries to load up into the corner, too much speed. The wheels are hopping around and just immediately sends the back end up the racetrack. And when it does that, you just cannot catch it here. It's just too difficult to do. Let's see if we can get one more view of this here from the onboard. The 48 of George Young. Just really late on the brakes, trying to make something happen. And Ultimately, around she goes. So he straightens it out, gets pointed back in the right direction. A little bit of damage to the rear tailgate, but that's about the extent of it. So as we go live now, up front, pace car with the lights on, so we will see at least one more lap before we get back to green flag racing. So I said initially we were going to go to break under this caution. We will go ahead and stick around for a little bit longer here until these guys get going green here. See if we can sneak in a quick break under some green flag conditions, because we're obviously not going to have time here before they take the green flag, and I don't want anybody to miss the restart right here. So we'll go ahead and keep things around for a bit longer. Nonetheless, I mean, you know, I hate to say, I apologize if I don't sound quite as, you know, exciting tonight, but it's just up here in the booth, we look for storylines that develop through the race. We haven't had any so far tonight because we haven't had enough green flag laps for said storylines to develop. Obviously, still time for that to change, but certainly a sign of the way things have gone so far. Green flag back in the air, though. Nathan Meyer still in charge out front. The Team Watson Racing setup. 24 machine out back. Everybody gets through 1 and 2 cleanly. And as they work off into turn number 3, this is where if you're Nathan Meyer, you got to start feeling like you want to do everything in your power to keep that track position. As caution now right back out. The trend continues of caution. So here we go. Let's go back and see what brings out this one. Looks like it may have been John Legger here. The 19, or was that Wesley Shaw? I take it back. That's going to be Wesley Shaw along with the 81 of Jameson Correa as they get into the corner. Some slight contact there. Correa gets in the left rear of Wesley Shaw, and up the track he goes to bring out what is now your 16th caution of the night. And with that, we are going to go ahead and take a quick break so that we can remain here for the rest of the way. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Martinsville.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
All right, welcome back to Martinsville Speedway. Pace car pulls off. That means just 30 laps to go. Going to be 29 as they cross the line. Green flag is back in the air, and it's another great restart for the 24 of Nathan Meyer, who's looking to see if he can make it back-to-back wins to kick off the season. Brad Thacker, big opportunity for him, but nobody has been able to match the speed of that 24, except for some of the drivers to the back. And oh, big hit for Toby Ritters on this one. The rough night continues. Toby Ritters took a massive shot to the rear of that race truck. That was one of the bigger contacts that we've seen so far here tonight. I think Bryce Rayner, unfortunately, may have been involved in this one as well. Let's go back and see here. There's a 53 of Randy Richard as they go to get down into the corner here. Oh, man. It's a tough call. To be honest, I don't know if either of these guys were going to make the corner at this point. Very, very late break by the both of them. I think that was a little bit of a, I think this is my spot versus, no, I think this is my spot. I think in that case, you'd have to give the benefit of the doubt to Randy Richard. I mean, it's close, though. Man, it's really close. I think if I'm Toby Ritters there, I'm probably giving that spot to Randy Richard. But at the same time, it's late in the race. And Toby Ritter says, I don't want to give up any spots if I don't have to. Feels like he could still maybe sneak across the nose, but instead it's Richard gets into him, sends him up the track, hard hit. And then unfortunately, Brian High and Bryce Rayner, kind of the two innocent victims that were just involved in all this chaos here. Let's watch it again. I mean, these two were just flying into the corner. And for Rayner, Brian High, Ritters, this may end a few nights here. Some of the damage that a few of these trucks took. And, you know, Bryce Rayner, I would definitely argue, second week now, he had, you know, probably top 2 fastest trucks in the race, and he's going to have absolutely nothing to show for it. Getting caught up in incidents. Last week, the incident was his fault. This week, just innocent victim and a bunch of other people's messes, if you will. And I mean, man, they cleaned a few trucks out right there. Those were some really, really hard hits. And now we'll set up for a restart with less than 25 laps to go. So slowly but surely winding down towards the end of this race as the lights on the safety car going to go off this time. The 56 Brad Thacker on the outside. 24 Nathan Meyer on the inside. Sebastian Seacrest says tough break for 13 and 19. Yeah, you got that right, Sebastian. I mean, the two trucks that were completely the innocent bystanders were the ones that arguably got the worst damage out of that. Unfortunately, the way things kind of go sometimes here at Martinsville. All right, so 25 laps to go here at Martinsville, and we're getting ready to find out who wants it the most. With the way things are going right now, I don't know if I have an answer to that, but I think Nathan Meyer definitely has maybe the fastest truck. So there's green flag back in the air, 24 laps to go. We'll see if he can hold on. We're 1 and 2 clean. That hasn't really been an issue spot here tonight. It's been just about everywhere else on the racetrack where we've seen a lot of people with some trouble. But so far, the 24 leading at this point has got to feel comfortable. I don't think if you're anybody in this field, unless you're all the way in the back, you would even consider pitting. As, by the way, there's Toby Ritters, where he runs after that last incident. Further back, this is where all the chaos has been. See the 27 of Michael Hill alongside Jason Ethery in the 34. There's the 48 of George Young. 13 of Brian High, 69 of Stephen Pless, and 53 of Randy Richard. These guys all side by side here, battling as we will be approaching 20 laps to go here. In just about half a minute. Again, lap times here at Martinsville, only about 13 to 15 seconds worth as caution. Now back out. And this time it's going to be for, actually not sure who this one's for. Maybe for George Young in the 48 machine. Got some reports that he may have looped it around, and I see some damage on the front. Not sure if it's from this or a different incident. Only way to find out is going to be to go back and look at it here from our instant replay. This is coming off of turn 2. See, he's got Brian High on his outside. And as it works off the corner, he just gets loose, and oh man, tough shot on the inside safety barrier. That is where he received that damage that we saw from. You know, he's trying to keep it down. He can't let the truck naturally go up off the corner because he's got Brian High there, and obviously trying to keep the truck pinned down and get on the throttle. Didn't go together too well. Gets that truck pointed in the wrong direction. Tough break right there for George Young. Bam. Hard contact, by the way, to the inside wall. All right, so George Young involved in this caution. That'll send him back to the back. 20 laps to go. Still wondering, does anybody have anything for the 24 of Nathan Meyer? The way it's been going right now, you would think not. Not that many laps left. Wonder if Nathan Meyer right now is starting to feel more confident, knowing that some of the closest competition kind of out of contention for now. Let's see how Nathan's feeling right about now. Hey, Nathan, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man, what's going on?
Not much. It's been pure chaos. You've been part of the chaos. You spun out earlier, but you worked your way all the way back up. Here you are leading, and so far it doesn't seem like anybody else has had anything for you. How do you feel here coming to 18 laps to go for the restart, knowing how chaotic things have been so far?
Yeah, you know, I punted Hale at the beginning, so if he gets up to me, I expect something to come back to me. But yeah, if people keep wrecking, and even a green flag run I'm good with, I think I can hold them off, so it'll be interesting.
Certainly will. Well, hey, Nathan, you've been fast so far, so we'll see if you can hold on the rest of the way. You won last week, though, so hey, who knows? Maybe you can go back to back.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
All right, there you go. So now back live. Ready to get back to the green flag. That's an interesting comment. I didn't think about it that way, but that is true. Nathan Meyer is probably thinking about Andrew Hale after that contact earlier, knowing that he is now back up inside the top 5. So we'll see if Hale has any feelings to return to the 24 after that, or if he keeps it nice and respectful. Either way, they're all running out of time here. 17 laps to go. Not that much longer here at the paperclip. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. It's a phenomenal jump. The 24 of Nathan Meyer as Andrew Hale on the outside. Now for Hale, by the way, does still have some damage on the front nose of his race truck. Brad Thacker has been settling pretty comfortably into that second spot. So again, not sure if anybody's going to have anything for him. But right now, it's all about getting any sort of track position you can. And if we get another caution, I don't think anybody's going to be going in for tires. Nathan Meyer, though, leads everybody through 1 and 2 this time around. Andrew Hale trying to track down Brad Thacker further back. Jamison Correa, you wonder what can he do with the laps remaining. Going to see if he can make it 3 podiums in a row. Andrew Hale third, Thacker second. Nathan Meyer still leads with now just 15 laps to go. By the way, how about a recovery for both Tyler Meeks and James Harris? Both drivers up 7 spots overall from where they started this race at. James Harris has the beautiful Grindstone paint scheme on his Chevy Silverado tonight, but both have been involved in incidents. And, you know, to be honest, I don't know if there's a driver in this field tonight that hasn't been involved in an incident. It's been more so who's been involved in the least incidents, and who's been able to get away the best through these incidents. Andrew Hale now going to take that second spot, and you got to think for Nathan Meyer, that's going to make him a little bit more nervous now. He's got to be hoping that we don't get a caution, because that would line Andrew Hale up either directly behind him. Well, it's not going to line him up directly behind him unless Jameson Correa gets around. As I hear a truck spinning, and there it is. Caution is out. George Young has gone around again, and it looks like this time he will be sent to the pits. And I'm not sure if that's an incident limit or if he has decided to call it for the night, but either way, 48 truck is done. He has been sent to the pits, and unfortunately, his night is over. All right, so here we go. Let's see what happens here for George Young. So they're going to get down to the corner here and back this up a little bit more. There you go, just on the outside again. Similar to what we've seen happen to not only him, but a lot of other drivers here multiple times tonight. Just trying to get a little too much down into the corner. Gets a little bit loose. And around it goes on that outside line. Draws the caution and now sets us up for a restart, which is probably going to be either close to or within 10 laps to go. Obviously going to make things even that much more stressful now for your leader. By the way, Jameson Correa back up to third. He was one of the other few drivers that I felt like may have had something for the 24. So this will be really interesting, especially since he's lining up behind the 24 to see what he does right here. But Nathan Meyer still leads the way. The restart is going to indeed be with less than 10 laps to go. So we're starting to get closer to that possibility of overtime. And again, only 2 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Andrew Hale in second, though, definitely would be maybe a little bit concerned about some of the damage that he has, although it usually doesn't matter all too much when you come to a track like Martinsville. And, you know, now that we are getting down to the end, I know we briefly mentioned it earlier, but got to mention again the classic bump and run. A lot of drivers call it using the chrome horn. And that is one of the Martinsville classics, but it's about how you do it that really determines if it's a good move or not. If you're going to go down in a corner and just punt a guy and clean him out, it's not a good move. If you can't get around and you want to work a guy up the track just a little bit, then it's a good move. That's the art of it, trying to find that balance. That's the tough part. We're going to see if anybody can find that balance right here and now, as it'll be just 9 laps to go here at Martinsville. Green flag back in the air. It's a good jump for the 24 of Nathan Meyer. He is going to lead them all down into turn number 1. The 4 of Andrew Hale quickly able to file into second, but as he washes up the racetrack a little bit, Jamison Correa is closing, and Correa wants to spot really bad. He's going to immediately dive to the inside here of Andrew Hale in turn 3. Further back, a little bit of beating and banging between doors, and now Correa has moved up to second. So Jamison Correa now up to the second spot. Just 8 laps to go. Can Correa find a way to track down the 24 of Nathan Meyer? I would say he doesn't have enough time, but we're going to wait and see here as caution back out for trouble further back here. And it looks like, trying to figure out exactly who this one's going to involve. Didn't get a report on who brought out this caution. So let's see if we can go back and see it here from our turn 3 cam. 19 of John Lager here working through the corner. Oh, right there. Michael Hill, and looks like that's Tyler Meeks. 2 trucks to get involved in this one, and they eventually straighten each other out, but Meeks tags Michael Hill there. It's pretty hard contact, but it all starts up here. This is interesting. So you've got Michael Hill way up the racetrack here, and I wonder if this all starts off the corner. Looks like it does. So Michael Hill up the track. See the 13 of Brian High's got a little bit of run. High's going to take it to the inside here. High gets there. Hill lets him go. And then Hill goes down to the corner here. I'm not sure if he's trying to hit him or trying to get back to the inside. Either way, there's the initial contact. And then that checkup gives Tyler Meeks no time to react. He gets into the 27 of Michael Hill and stays in the gas. Eventually straightens him back up. And I want to show you this from the cockpit view here. See if we get a better idea of Michael Hill, if this was a crossover or if he had a separate issue. Goes high, lets him go. Comes back down, and I don't think that was intentional. I think Michael Hill was actually trying everything to avoid him right there. Couldn't get on the brakes, just unfortunately a little too late. And then Tyler Meeks and Hill, obviously, with some secondary contact as part of it. Okay, so now we're going to see a restart. Then 5 laps to go, and basically at the point of overtime now. Not quite here. We'll see when the lights on the pace car go off. They are off this time, so not quite overtime yet. It'll be a 4-lap shootout, and maybe arguably even a tougher spot now as you've got 24 as your leader, Nathan Meyer, but you've got the 81, Jamison Correa, in second, and the 4 of Andrew Hale currently in third. We'll see if Hale's still feeling any sort of payback. Jamison Correa, is he feeling like he wants to grab his first win of the season here tonight? Let's see if he can match Nathan Meyer on the restart. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. He cannot. Meyer catches him sleeping. And immediately as they work down into turn number 1, the 24 has more than a comfortable lead, making about 3 truck lengths as they work off the corner. And caution quickly back out here. More trouble further towards the back here. And I wonder who this one involved. Everybody continued rolling in the right direction, so no obvious damage to report, at least not yet. Obviously, we'll see what happens here as we go back and look at our instant replay. By the way, I believe this may be over your 20th caution of the night. Which again here, this is looking back in the field where I believe there may have been some of that contact. And yep, right there, Toby Ritter's just getting punted around. You can tell whatever sort of give there was left, if there was any tonight, it's gone now. It's all taken. Brian High here has got a little bit of run to the middle, and Toby Ritter's on the outside. Brian High tries to go for it. Tags Ritter's in the left rear, turns him around. Wesley Shaw gets involved, and then he gets into Randy Richard, who goes into the outside wall. So you have 3 trucks that end up with some pretty significant damage in this one, contrary to what it initially looked like. Richard again. There's Ritter's on the outside. Little tap hard into the outside wall, and then Shaw nowhere to go. Hill maybe even gotten some damage. I saw Pless briefly with some contact there as well. So let's go back live now. This will be our first attempt at overtime. By the way, some of our driver cams checking in. First on James Harris, how he's doing. Now up 8 spots from where he started this race at tonight. It looks like he is going to restart here from the 6th position. And generally speaking, that's not going to be close enough to make anything happen. But you never know, especially with the way things have gone here tonight. Wesley Shaw, it's obviously been a pretty rough night as he tries to catch the field here. Just trying to finish this one out here the best that he can. All right, overtime attempt number 1. It'll be a 2-lap shootout. Leader has to make it to the white flag for this race to be official. Overtime attempt number 1, green-white checkered style. Here we go, green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go at Martinsville. And that time, Jamison Correa got a better restart, but so did Andrew Hale. These two staying side by side is going to help that 24 out. Correa trying everything to clear the 4 of Andrew Hale. He finally does. Can they make it to the white flag? Half a straightaway away. They do. Race is official. 1 lap to go. Will Jamison Correa try to move the 24 of Nathan Meyer, or can Meyer make it back-to-back wins? Meyer slipped up. Here comes Correa. Final time into the corner. Will he try to get there? He will, but it's not enough. Correa won't get to the 24. Nathan Meyer goes back-to-back at Martinsville. He wins the season opener, and he wins race 2. Nathan Meyer, after a caution-filled race, takes home the win at Martinsville. Correa finishes in second. And it's Andrew Hale coming back and finishing on the podium. Oh man, you could tell the 24 made sure that he shipped it in there so that the 81 couldn't get to him. Correa was going to give it a shot, but just couldn't quite make it happen. You know, we saw this kind of early season domination last season from a guy by the name of Craig Janzak. And so far, Nathan Meyer has done more of the same. We'll have to see if his performance continues like this, but man, what a hot start to the season for this guy. I think he's going to be feeling pretty good about that one, especially as much as you had to earn it. After spinning early, comes back and gets the job done. Looking at your race results here tonight. Again, Nathan Meyer is your race winner with the Martinsville 130. Jamison Correa takes home second. That's his third podium in a row. In the last three races, Andrew Hale finishes third, Brad Thacker fourth, Caleb Forsyth in fifth with James Harris sixth, Tyler Meeks in seventh with William Mann Jr. in eighth, Brian High ninth, and Toby Ritters rounding out your top 10. Wesley Shaw finishes in 11th, John Legger 12th, Randy Richard finishes in 13th, Michael Hill in 14th. You've got Jason Ethery in 15th, Wesley Carter 16th, Stephen Pless finishes back in the 17th position, rounding out the top 20. George Young 18th, Bryce Rayner 19th, and Kevin Kirchard taking that final spot here tonight, finishing in 20th. All right, we're going to go grab your top three for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Martinsville. All right, going to start first here tonight with your race winner, back-to-back race winners. That's Nathan Meyer. Nathan, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man. What's going on?
Well, you win last week in the season opener at Homestead. You win tonight at the short track of Martinsville. But let's focus on tonight because, man, you had to make a comeback to make it happen. You spin early. How'd you keep your head in the game? How'd you play out the strategy? And how'd you ultimately get back to the front and hold everybody off there at the end?
Yeah, fortunately, I split myself out. Probably cause a caution, and then I knew, I'll take tires here, right? And then I just wasn't going to pit the rest of the night because I figured most of everyone in front of me hadn't pit already, and so I was like, if I can keep it out of any wrecks that are in front of me, and then these guys will eventually peel off and pit, and I'll get to the lead, and that's what happened, and just got lucky enough to keep it. The last couple, or the green white checkered, I was just like, both these guys had like 60 lap fresher tires than me, so. But luckily, they battled out side by side, and I got enough away that they couldn't get close to me to hit me out of the way. So, yeah, good win.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, I mean, there at the end on the last lap, going into 3, looked like you shipped it in a little deeper, and we saw the 81 do the same. Did you kind of have in mind that he was going to maybe try a bump and run? What was going through your head there the last lap?
Yeah, I drove it in deep there at the end because just in case that he was to do that. And, I'm glad I did because if I just ran a normal corner, he probably would have hit me in the back there. And I probably would have just lost it. There's not much grip after all those laps on those tires. But, yeah, luckily he did too, and it all worked out.
Absolutely did. Well, hey, Nathan, before we let you head out here tonight, back-to-back wins, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, again, apologies to Hale for that wreck on that second caution. But thanks for Grindstone Developments putting this on. Thanks for you guys for doing this, and Team Watson Racing for the awesome setups.
Nathan, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the win, number 2 of the season. We'll see you next week at Talladega.
All right, thanks.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your second place finisher here tonight. Third week in a row of podium finishes for Jamison Correa. Let's see how he's feeling for his run here tonight. Hey, Jamison, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Oh, man, 3 weeks, 3 podiums. You continue the hot streak, but first off, you tried to get there on the last lap. It looked like you were trying to move him in the final corner. Was that the goal, and what more do you think you would have needed to get there?
I was trying to play it clean. Didn't want to make any fights. But yes, I was trying to get there, but I don't want to play dirty. But yeah.
Well, you may not quite grab the win, but again, another podium. How much does it mean momentum-wise when you start a season with 2 podiums, knowing next week we're going to a wild card track in Talladega?
Feels good. I feel like anyone can win at Talladega, but I feel like Team Conti's Sim Performance setups are going to be ready, and I'm happy that we're going to Talladega. Maybe I'll get my first one there.
Sounds like a plan. Well, Jameson, we appreciate you talking to us here tonight. Congrats on the second place finish. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
And actually, before we let you head out, Jameson, I almost forgot, so I apologize. Was there anyone that you want to thank or shout out after the amazing run here tonight?
Yes, my mom, my dad, Team Conti Sim Performance. Their setups are so awesome. I recommend them. My mom, my dad, Team Conti, my coaches, Coach Nick, Roll Speed Motorsports, and Jag Racing. Yes, they all helped me and Coach Nick, and I want to take a moment to say I'm sorry to my teammate that I bumped him in an accident. He was glitching. I didn't see him for a second.
All right. Well, hey, we appreciate you talking to us, and glad we were able to let you give those shout-outs. So, Jameson, again, we appreciate you talking to us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, and now that is going to bring us up now to your third place finisher here on the night, and that is Andrew Hale. See if we can find Andrew here and see how he's feeling after his performance tonight. Hey, Andrew, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, man, you start with an absolute heater of a lap, second here tonight, but you're involved in an early incident, and the rest of the race is just fighting back to try to get into the podium, which you managed to make happen. Tell us about your race and, kind of the emotions of getting in an incident that early and trying to recover.
Yeah, that got turned on lap, I think 3. I got mad. The NPR guys had to calm me down, let me know I could come back and finish well if I just calmed down. Thanks to Team Watson for the setups. I wouldn't have been up front without them. And this thing would roll the center pretty good. Just had to keep going in and repairing it, getting fixed. I'd like to thank Grindstone Development for helping us put this thing on, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, pure chaos here tonight. Speaking of chaos, next week we head to a super speedway and obviously Talladega. How do you feel about your chances there? And what's the mentality going into that one?
With the way my luck's been these last couple weeks, I do not plan on making it out of there the way these guys raced today. It was sort of embarrassing, but it is what it is. It's Martinsville.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Andrew, nonetheless, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats on a good finish. So before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Grindstone Development for helping Harris put this thing on, and Team Watson Racing for helping me get to the front.
All right. And again, Andrew, appreciate you talking to us. Congrats on the good finish, and we will see you next week. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Martinsville. Chaos, the best way to describe it, but the man that comes out on top is the man who got it done last week and now gets it done this week. Back-to-back wins for Nathan Meyer. We'll see if he can make it 3 in a row next week at Talladega. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate you sticking around, and hopefully we'll see everybody next week. As always, I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, have a good night.